I judged her for coming home. Until I heard what she'd given up for me. When family generosity looks like freeloading, and sacrifice hides behind a smile. You ever notice how quick we are to judge the people closest to us? How we create entire narratives in our heads about why someone's behavior bothers us, never stopping to ask if maybe, just maybe, we've got it all wrong. I'm Emma, and 6 months ago, I was that person. The one silently resenting my sister-in-law for what I thought was her inability to let go of her parents' home. She was married, for God's sake. Why was she always there? Taking up space, eating their food, acting like she'd never left. Then I overheard a single conversation that shattered my self-righteous judgment into a million pieces. And I realized the person I'd been quietly despising had sacrificed more for my happiness than I'd ever know. This is Real Talk Relationships. And today's story is about the invisible sacrifices we overlook and the damage our assumptions can cause. My husband, Jake, and I shouldn't have made it. Not according to my parents, anyway. He grew up in rural Montana, cattle ranches, county fairs, the whole 9 yards. I'm from suburban Connecticut, where the closest thing to livestock was someone's labradoodle. We met in grad school and fell hard, but my parents. They saw a boy from nowhere with no trust fund and decided he wasn't good enough for their daughter. When Jake proposed, they made their position crystal clear by demanding a wedding they knew his family couldn't afford. $50,000 venue, designer dress, destination rehearsal dinner. It was a test designed to make him fail, except he didn't. His family somehow came up with every penny. His mom said simply, "We'll do whatever it takes for our son's happiness." I was moved to tears, impressed by their determination, never questioning where the money came from. That's when I started noticing Melissa, Jake's older sister. She'd gotten married a year before us, but she was constantly back at her parents' house. Not just Sunday dinners either. She'd stay for days, sometimes a full week. And it drove me absolutely crazy. I'd come over for family gatherings and there she'd be, doing laundry, helping with yard work, sitting at the kitchen table like she still lived there. In my mind, it was pathetic. She was a grown, married woman clinging to mommy and daddy instead of building her own life. I wasn't openly rude. I'm not a monster, but I know my coldness showed. Short answers. Minimal eye contact. That polite smile that doesn't quite reach your eyes. And Melissa? She just kept being kind, cheerful, offering to help with anything I needed, which somehow made me resent her more. Like her niceness was some performance. Last week, I was at Jake's parents' house cleaning up after dinner. Everyone had gone outside, and I was loading the dishwasher when I heard voices on the back porch. Jake and Melissa. I wasn't trying to eavesdrop, but Melissa's voice had this sadness I'd never heard before. "Don't feel guilty anymore," she said quietly. "That's what sisters do for their brothers." There was this long silence. Then Jake, "Mel, you sold your land. The 5 acres Grandpa left you. Your inheritance. You and David are renting that apartment an hour away because of me. Because I needed a wedding that would satisfy Emma's parents." My hands froze. The plate I was holding nearly slipped from my fingers. Melissa laughed softly. "If selling that land meant you got to marry the woman you love, it was worth it. Money comes and goes. Your happiness doesn't." I stood there feeling my entire face burn with shame. That beautiful wedding everyone complimented? The one that made my parents finally accept Jake? It was built on Melissa selling the only real asset she owned. Land her grandfather had specifically left to her, gone, so her brother could marry the girl from Connecticut, whose parents demanded proof of worth measured in dollars. And suddenly, everything clicked into horrible focus. Melissa came home so often because she and David were struggling financially. That apartment they rented was small, far from family, in a town with limited work. She came home to help with housework, sure, but also to take home vegetables from her mom's garden, eggs from the chickens, leftovers in Tupperware containers. She wasn't freeloading. She was surviving. While I'd been judging her dependence, she'd been dealing with the consequences of her generosity, the sacrifice she'd made for her brother's happiness. For my wedding day, that evening, I found Melissa in the guest room, folding the clothes she'd washed. I couldn't even speak at first. I just stood in the doorway with tears streaming down my face until she looked up, confused. "Emma? What's wrong?" I walked over and took her hands. "I heard you and Jake talking about the land, about what you did for us." Her expression shifted surprise, then this gentle resignation. "Oh, well, it's done. And honestly, I'd do it again. But I've been so awful to you," I choked out. "I judged you for coming home. I thought you were—" "I know what you thought," she said, squeezing my hands. "And I can't blame you." From the outside, it probably did look like I couldn't let go. But Emma, all I wanted was for Jake to be happy. If that meant selling my security to give him his shot, that was my choice. Now, when I look at our wedding photos, the ones I posted all over social media, the ones sitting in silver frames around our apartment, I see them differently. I see beauty, yes, joy, love, but underneath all that I see sacrifice. I see Melissa's 5 acres of Montana land. I see her grandfather's legacy converted into centerpieces and ADJ. And a dress I wore for 6 hours, I've learned that some debts can never be repaid with money. The only currency that matters is gratitude lived out loud. It's the way I treat Melissa now with the respect and love she always deserved. It's the gifts I bring when we visit, the genuine conversations we have, the relationship I should have been building all along instead of building walls. Family sacrifices are often invisible because the people making them don't want recognition. They just want you to be happy. If you're listening to this and something's resonating uncomfortably, that's okay. We all have people in our lives we've misjudged. Family members whose behaviors irritate us without understanding the full story. Sometimes what looks like weakness is actually strength. What looks like dependence is actually the aftermath of generosity. Before you write someone off as needy or clingy or unable to move on, ask yourself, what don't I know about their situation? What sacrifices might they have made that nobody talks about? What struggles might they be hiding behind that smile? And here's the thing, even if you discover you've been wrong, it's not too late to change. Melissa forgave me immediately because that's who she is. But I still have to forgive myself for all the coldness, all the judgment, all the time I wasted resenting someone who deserved my gratitude. I'm sharing this story because I know I'm not alone. How many of us are carrying around judgments of family members based on incomplete information? How many silent sacrifices are happening right now that we're too busy being annoyed to notice? I wanted to hear your stories. Have you ever discovered you completely misjudged someone? Maybe you found out about a sacrifice a family member made that you never knew about. Or maybe you're the one who made the sacrifice and you're sitting there thinking, finally, someone understands. Drop a comment below. Tell me your story. Let's create a space where we can be honest about our mistakes and our growth. And hey, if there's someone in your life you owe gratitude to, don't wait. Don't let another day pass where they don't know their sacrifice mattered. Because sometimes the people who give the most ask for the least recognition. Thanks for listening to this one. I know it was heavy, but these are the conversations that matter. If this story touched you, Hit that subscribe button and share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you've got a family member who's always been there for you, maybe send them a text right now. Tell them you see them. Tell them you're grateful. This is Real Talk Relationships. Stay curious, stay humble, and remember the most powerful love is the kind that requires no applause. Until next time, take care of each other out there.